To order here,
Let me get one.
technically,
How are you, Scott?
we're doing good. Convening is the Board of Adjustment, right? Is that, are we convening as the Board of Adjustment first or just regular commissioners?
It's just commissioners.
Okay.
We didn't have any.
How are you doing? Scott, how are you? Feeling good. Oh, we didn't have any appeals, just the abatement.
We have a request for abatement, but the commissioners do that, but the Board of Equalization. Didn't get any appeals, so.
All right.
We're not
Yes. Yeah.
That's always a good thing.
Crazy, right?
Good job, Kim.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order at 6:10 PM. Our first appointment here is petition for abatement or refund of taxes for Moorhead Property 1.
Like, you wanna go ahead and do the minutes first?
Oh, okay, yeah. Do you guys have a chance to look over the minutes?
Yep.
Any questions or comments?
Nope.
Entertain a motion for approval of the meeting minutes for July 10th, 2024.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All right.
All right, moving on to our first appointment, abatement of refund for taxes for Moorhead Property 1 LLC 50827 Highway 550 during the Colorado refund period.
There's nothing on the abatement form that says what you.
I'll look it up while you're talking.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Okay.
You're good. Please.
Is, Alex, does the petitioner start? Or do you?
You can describe what's
Okay.
going on.
Okay, so this is the development property located at Cascade Village. It's vacant land. It was purchased in December of 21 for 1.5 million. It has not been developed since. I valued it much higher than the purchase price based on comparables in the purgatory area. None of them are super similar.
Could I say something, because I was confused by sort of the way that we had talked about it early on. I think it's clear if for 2024, Kim agreed with the property owner to a value. So that's not before you. What's before you is then, because Kim agreed to a property value this year, they would like to apply it to last year as well and ask for an abatement of 2023. That's why it's before you.
Yes, that
that-
is correct.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, I adjusted the value to their purchase price. I felt like that was reasonable. It is normal to also adjust in the case of an even numbered year, it's normal to also adjust the previous year of 2023. The reason being that the sales data we use for these 2 years is exactly the same, and the property has not changed since between the tax year of 2023 and 2024. So it would be typical that the value would be the same for those 2 years.
Okay.
Maybe
Anything
Any
else?
questions?
just state for the record what the value that they're asking for, and then maybe the taxpayers could confirm that.
Yes, the owner paid 1.5 million as their purchase price. And they've provided documentation to show that indeed that was their purchase price.
Well, at that time, you assessed it at, originally you were saying the actual value was 4.2 million
That's correct.
with an assessed value of 1.1 million.
Right, and we're really just dealing with actual value for here. We are technically not looking at assessed value, but
Okay, so
actual.
deal with actual, but you saw the actual value is 4.2 million in 2023 based on comparisons to other properties. Was it just Purgatory or were there Cascade properties?
No other Cascade properties.
Okay,
So this was generally the Purgatory area. Now, each of those other development properties are all pretty different from each other. That was the median price per acre that came out to. However, I felt during appeals this year that their request was reasonable to reduce the price to match their purchase price. They purchased it within about 6 months prior to the appraisal date, so it's pretty close to the appraisal date, broadly speaking.
why did you agree with them when the original 4.2 million? I mean, isn't there
When it,
any other properties around that or that all went, I mean, everything went up. So
yeah,
why would it be the same?
there would only have been 6 months time for it to go up. I actually didn't have fantastic data to show that vacant rate went up a lot within 6 months.
Not like you've had here in town and stuff.
Right,
You have a lot of
and
comparables.
that's correct.
Okay,
Each of these development properties all have really different characteristics. It's pretty difficult to make appropriate adjustments between some development properties that are smaller, but maybe have a higher percentage of developable property. This property, has a good bit of wetlands on it. It does have an older plan of, how many units and so forth, but during the appeals process for 2024, I felt that their request was justified.
okay,
And that can't be undone.
right.
So we're really just discussing 2023.
As far as applying essentially the same value in 2023.
Mhm.
And this is just raw land, there's no infrastructure, nothing's been added.
To my knowledge, there have been no changes. I believe they have come before the board to request different development plans that
Right,
to your knowledge, has there been anything approved for that property since they purchased it?
No.
Okay.
so
Has there been anything denied or we don't know?
so no utilities, no infrastructure.
That I'm aware of.
Is this part of a,
Yeah,
is this part of a subdivision?
What's that?
Is this part of a subdivision?
It's part of
I think-
it.
Okay,
It's been submitted for planner review, but it hasn't gone anywhere because of questions that still need to be answered.
this is just, doesn't have really anything to do with this. Was it, with the subdivision, was it okay with multiple units and things like that?
Yeah.
So that's also beyond our control also,
Right.
because it's been okay for multiple units, okay? I don't have any more questions, I think,
Should we hear from the applicant?
sure.
Good evening.
Well,
So the everything that Ms. Buck and I discussed, or what she discussed, and what we had talked about in the petition is true. This piece of property is a little bit different, and I know. I mean, I looked at the sales in the Purgatory and Cascade area when I was looking for other comps that might, sway that value, and there's less developable land on this parcel. It also there's some of it that sits on both sides of Highway 550. So it's a little bit more complex than just one piece of land of a certain size. And that's kind of why it sold for what it did. And then they've kind of struggled to get a plan together as far as how they're going to move forward with development since that acquisition in 2021. So that's why we came forward, and we actually we were engaged by the property owner, the person that we were working with right before the deadline in 2023 to file the regular cycle appeal. the person that we were working with moved companies, and so it went silent, and then we picked back up after the appeal deadline, and he said, well, I've got to appeal this. And so that's why we actually are going back now and looking at the 2023. Kim and I had discussed the 2023 and prior years back in June and July of 2023, but we had missed the deadline because that gentleman had left the company that we were originally dealing with. So that's kind of the history of why we're going back now and looking for that, because we didn't have that opportunity in 2023 due to the timing.
The only other thing to say is that because this is because of the dollar amount of this abatement request, if you guys do approve it, it would still need to go to the state property tax administrator to be reviewed and approved at that level. And that's true for any abatement of this size.
Over 10,000.
Yeah.
Just a quick question to be obnoxious. Is it our problem that the appeal wasn't filed in time?
No, so they lost their right to appeal. It is their total legal right to request an abatement at this time.
Okay.
And normally, it would be typical and normal to change the 2023 year to match 2024, assuming there's been no change in the property itself, because we're using the exact same market data. If this weren't such a very large amount, I would have just automatically made the 2 years the exact same value.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're well within their deadlines to request this abatement.
Okay. I have no further questions, and I tend to go with our assessor, because that's what she's being paid to do. So I don't have a problem with doing this.
You would need to make a motion to
Okay.
abate the property as requested, abate the taxes as requested.
I'll make a motion to abate the Morehead property as presented. That good enough?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
I,
Let's go. Thank you, Alex, for coming tonight.
Yeah, Alex, I believe the next process is the paperwork will go to the treasurer, and the treasurer will issue a check.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you,
I
everyone.
take that back. I
State-
misspoke. It does need to be approved at the state level. If it is approved by the state level, that is the process. And my apologies.
No worries. I appreciate your time, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you, you too.
Yeah, you too.
Are you going to leave for it's like
something I'm working on.
just saying.
Line road too.
He's got a nine here.
Here. I'll give you this. This is coming. Kind of read through some of next. Here's one for
Oh, okay.
stuff like that.
So they're using, like San Cristobal,
Yes.
Yep.
works. It's a weird surface.
Yeah.
Doesn't can't get mine whether it's asphalt or dirt road, and it's weird.
Right, but it works and it lasts longer.
Yeah, it seems,
And it's like it,
seems much less
a
dust.
half, well, less than half the cost of mag,
Yeah,
so.
come on, we'll give it a try. It's close to nature.
I've got that here too, not bad at all. less than
Yeah.
that.
BLM people do their.
All right,
You
sure.
run your
Well,
pipeline.
if you guys, since we have just a couple minutes here before our County Road 2 discussion, if you guys would love to. Present or talk to us about anything specifically to.
Yeah, I don't want you to turn and rent your.
You guys are welcome to come sit at the table too.
Well, just for a couple minutes. So I'm Stephanie. I'm the district manager for Southwest Colorado BLM. Been there for a little over 6 years. And just like when I introduced John, I like to make sure you know who comes in as a leadership team. And we have a new deputy district manager, Rob. So Rob, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself real quick. So Rob will be out of Montrose and he's my right arm and yeah, I haven't had him for over a year, so I'm really happy that he's here.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to address the commission. My name is Rob Potts. Got 38 years of government service, the last 27 with Forest Service, and the last 15 of those with the National Forest and Grasslands in Texas, out of Lufkin, Texas, the Piney Woods of East Texas. You know, my background and interests and experience as a planner and as a social scientist. Looking forward to working with local communities to manage resources in a way that makes sense ecologically and socially and economically. My background is in wildlife and fisheries and botany and forestry and oil and gas and range of projects that I've managed for the last 15 years. It's my first field trip. I think I'm 7.5 days into employment and just really excited to be here and hope to be here for a while. And I'd be happy to answer any questions about Texas if y'all have any questions for me. I'm not a Texan, but after 15 years, it rubs off on me a little bit. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Just explain your district is John Kaminsky working under you guys then?
Yeah, so the structure is Southwest District is Durango, Dolores, Cortez, up to Montrose, Delta, Peonia, over to Gunnison, and then Silverton. So that's kind of the block.
Okay.
And so as a district manager and deputy district manager, the field managers report to us. So John is our direct report, as well as some other staff. And the one thing I did want to let you know, and I'm glad you're here, Sheriff, is just we are hiring a supervisory law enforcement officer and we're changing the structure in BLM. It's not something I asked for, but it's something that we're doing. And so we're getting supervisory law enforcement and then all the field rangers, Derek, who you work with, those folks will report to that supervisor who then reports to me. Now, that shouldn't change anything in a negative way for you all at the field level. I'm hoping actually it'll be a plus because I'm getting one more ranger. It's going to be a working supervisor. And that's somebody who can pair up with our lone rangers out there to help increase patrols. The position was flown duty station either Montrose or Durango because of you all and your needs here in Silverton. While I'd love to have them in Montrose, Durango is a little bit closer even to what I call the donut hole of our law enforcement portfolio. I know Derek gets up here as much as he can, but you know, having somebody closer proximity that can get up here even more and pair up with Derek, I think is a good thing. And so we look forward to continuing our partnerships with you as well as Hinsdale County on what's going on with our mountain. So we were here today just doing a little bit of field recon, Bonita Peaks, the things that we have cooking here. And again, this is his day 8. This is the 8th day of his report, and I got him up here, so I'm really happy about that. So we're hoping to add a little bit more support to the law enforcement here, back to the hierarchy. The other pro about that is literally last Christmas, I didn't have a single ranger. I needed somebody and I didn't have a single ranger because each field manager structures and schedules their own ranger. And the supervisory ranger will make sure that we are covered, like we never have that hole. And but that's not why they're changing the structure. We were one of the last states to hold out that we believe the local field rangers work and report to the field manager, and the number one relationship for a field manager is the county. So anyway, I'm just glad that it didn't go to the structure that other agencies have where, law enforcement report directly to their headquarters or national office, totally bypassing us as the local resource folks, in the field. So it's not a bad thing. I think it's gonna work out fine. So, anything that you wanted to ask us? I know it's public comment, so maybe that's not the way it works for you all, but happy to take questions if you have any.
How many Leos do you have in that entire region?
4 right now. I have 7 million acres in my administrative unit, and I have 4 rangers,
That's pretty little thin, isn't it?
slightly, yeah.
I mean,
I've got one in Canyons of the Ancients National Monument. I have one that covers the Durango area. I have Derek, one in Gunnison, who attempts to cover this area. And then I have one in Montrose, and we're really struggling in Montrose right now. I'll say, we just have a lot of people residing on public lands. They're not there for recreation, they're taking root, and many of them aren't the types of folks that you might want to approach by yourself. So I'm really ecstatic to get another law enforcement officer that can help pair up, not just with the counties, but with our own internal folks, to help make those approaches.
it's a huge problem in the west.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
bad.
Yeah, for sure.
So this new supervisor position will be someone who's kind of floating around amongst those folks? As well?
They're gonna be in charge of scheduling saturation patrols. You might see 4 rangers up here now, because you're gonna have somebody organizing that across the region. But then there might be
Don't tease.
you're gonna. And then on the flip side, we might need a saturation down in Canyons of the Ancients too, where we have a looting problem. So, we have the ability now to probably better schedule and structure ourselves to do the patrols, but also when we need a saturation, we have more folks, in line for that. So. Yeah,
Do you patrol by plane at Canyons of the Ancients? Do you have that option or anything like that?
no, we don't have aircraft for that purpose unless it was a special project for something. Our aircraft use is pretty limited to fire and the Wild Horse program.
The looters probably have one.
Some of these places
It's a
are pretty remote, you're rappelling down below cliff lines to try to get to where they figured out how to get to.
It's,
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
No, just, we understand that, you guys are strapped for resources, both financially and,
Partnerships matter.
yeah,
They're really important.
they do.
and that could even change with the next election. You guys may get underfunded even
A
more.
lot of question marks out there.
There are a lot of questions and.
Yeah.
This is my own opinion, but Lauren Boebert expressed interest in being the Secretary of the Interior.
Saw that.
That scares me to death. That's my own personal opinion.
It's all in the media. Yeah, and for that same administrative unit, the Southwest District, we have, we're doing really well right now. We've actually got some vacancies filled that have been vacant for quite a long time, including his, for over a year, but, we have about 105 to 115-ish employees, that we get to work with on our mission of taking care of the public resources and multiple use, trying to be a good partner ourselves. But, I'm not shy of saying, my normal budget's around 12 million for the Southwest District. I got 10 this year. And I don't know what's gonna happen next year, but I don't think we have a pretty picture in this cycle right now. So we just ask for you all to bear with us, we appreciate.
It's not your fault. It's a funding thing for sure.
Yeah.
So, but I'm glad that your counties are your best
Mhm,
source of what's happening in the county a lot of times. So.
you bet.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think we should mention funding to our senators next time we talk to John Whitney.
Yeah.
Just make it clear, we're not lobbying, we're just stating a fact.
Oh,
We're not lobbying.
And
We're just-
costs are going up and
Yeah.
inflation impacts every one of us, and
Yeah.
to see cuts is really tough right now. So.
I just think sharing is caring, if you know where we're sitting and why, then we have a better understanding of each other, so.
Yeah.
Well, I think the reality is, and we've had this conversation with the Border Service as well, is your mission has changed. You know, such a huge impact, recreational impact, and budgets have not reflected
Yeah,
that increase at all, so the demand is there, but there's no way to deal with it, and it falls down on us, and we don't have the resources to deal with it.
yeah, we're kind of in it together on that, for sure. Yeah, if I could double the staff tomorrow for about 6 months, we'd probably be happy, but then we'd be saying the same because the mission is just so large. So,
And liking, your program of, designating campsites, I think that's helping some too.
It's needed.
Keep them, oh, it's really needed, especially on, BLM and Forest Service lands. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, we'll stay for the dust abatement discussion
Yeah,
on County Road 2. Yeah. I think we kind of share in that interest, so.
yeah, it's a big issue for us, and our county's 88% federal land, and between Forest Service and BLM, so, the county picks up the bill for maintaining all the county roads and the access to the national forest and the BLM lands, and,
Search and rescue.
search and
sheriff,
rescue, yeah.
EMS, everything.
So those folks who are out there recreating aren't necessarily, contributing in meaningful ways to the tax base of the county. So it's tough.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay,
All right. Well,
thank you for
guys.
letting us,
Yeah.
Ms. Rock,
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, your turn.
You on a date?
Yeah.
Change your turn, brother.
Appetizer peak?
What's that? Did you order us an appetizer?
I would have. I can have tea. I made the birthday dinner.
No, that's the chemical stuff.
Uh-huh. That's Greek to me, man.
That's what I take away from your presentation. We're just trying on our end too.
Mm-hmm.
So we asked you to come for this meeting, mostly just to sit down and have a discussion. We had a discussion about County Road 2, but we felt that we had a couple issues that we definitely would like to hear your opinion on, especially just the general scenario on County Road 2.
Yeah, we've been taking a number of complaints on County Road 2 as well recently, basically speeding, aggressive driving, kids without helmets, dust are the biggest things. It's pretty obvious to see why. It's kind of the thoroughfare of our county to get to the Alpine Loop, and it takes an awful lot of traffic. Without being unempathetic to the people that are out there that are making these complaints, I would point out that the only thing that's different about that part of the county than the rest are that a bunch of new people live out there along that road now. And so we're hearing from people who moved to that area that has historically been that. And again, I'm not trying to be unempathetic to them. I think they've got real issues out there and we've been trying to address them as well as we can. But we have 388 square miles that we patrol. And there's that kind of thing happening elsewhere as well, where people haven't necessarily moved in to complain about them. So we have been kind of addressing the squeaky wheel, if you will, and being out there. I was out there for 6 hours today, made a lot of contacts, stopped people from drinking, from driving with kids without helmets, from speeding, from making a whole lot of dust. We had a rollover anonymous forks today. I mean, it's July, so we're juggling a lot of balls in the air at this time of year. So I had another officer out there today for a couple of hours who made a lot of contacts. There's not a lot much more that our small department can do out there, I would say. I think we're giving it as much attention as we can right now. Keeping in mind that we've got a lot of other county and we're a small department, we can't necessarily double the size of our department and have a seasonal, department that we can't support in the winter and people sitting around twiddling their thumbs. It's hard enough to hire here as it is. So to try and bring on a police state of 10 officers here isn't really feasible and not financially valuable either. So I think we're kind of giving it all the effort we can. I have some suggestions about what we may be able to do, and I've got some other issues with some neighbors I'm going to bring up in this discussion as well.
Sure.
I think we need a campaign. Which basically, and I'm gonna back up a little bit. Hinsdale County right now, I'm hearing rumors is looking at shutting down OHVs in the county, not just in town. So I don't know how true those rumors are, and I had lunch with the county commissioner recently who didn't mention that, but they're definitely. Just like we were a few years ago, they're at that 50-50 stage in Lake City where there's the communities at each other's throats. And it's a difficult time for them right now. We've been through that. We know what that's like. I feel bad for that, but it also is creating a situation where rules over there aren't being enforced, and particularly the helmet and insurance. So we're getting a lot of kids, and I've been over there a few times recently, and it's out of hand how many kids are driving around town, literally driving or in the car without helmets and driving into our county from that county. So them not enforcing over there has put an extreme burden on us over here. And we just helicoptered 2 kids out last week who went over without helmets. So this is not an intangible issue. It's not something that I can really overlook. And I've been attempting to contact law enforcement over there and have this discussion. They're in some upheaval right now. Their sheriff has left the job rather abruptly, and they've got a new election coming up. And in the meantime, they have appointed a previous sheriff, Sheriff Ron Bruce, was just sworn in on Monday. And he comes on full time actually on August 5th. And I've asked him for help in this arena, and asked him to try and get his guys really enforcing the helmet laws and insurance laws and whatnot over there. I don't know how well that's gonna sit. I don't know that we had a great conversation about it, in all honesty. So that's an issue for me. And so one of the things I wanted to ask you all, and I know I'm getting off base of County Road 2 here, but one of the things I wanted to ask you all to consider this evening would be to institute a ordinance for a $300 fine for kids without helmets and no insurance on OHVs. We have the ability to charge OHVs with speeding, with no insurance through regular motor vehicle laws. But I don't think they're appropriate for where we are with OHVs on these roads. I think we need a separate fine that's an ordinance for the county for kids without helmets and for not having insurance on your OHV. And I'd like to see that fine to be $300 so that it gets attention, and we can spread the word that while they may not take it seriously over there, we do take it seriously here, and we're going to try and hammer it from this point on to the end of the year and get that word out there. So again, sorry to get off track about Route 2, but to back up to that, I think that County Road 2 is going to require a couple of things. I think it's going to require a media campaign that, in light of what Hinsdale is potentially considering and what we may need to consider in the future, and after it rumbles around Silverton, regarding removing OHVs from the backcountry, which I will outright state I am not for. I'm all for OHVs where they belong. They belong in the backcountry. They don't belong doing donuts around our houses, but they belong out there, and I like to keep them out there. In order to keep them out there, we need them behaving properly. So I think that we should enlist our genius of a PIO, Deanne Gallegos, to help us develop a campaign that would be essentially a use it correctly or lose it kind of campaign that, you know, that the communities are fed up with accidents, speed, dust, all the things that come with, you know, people that are out there to run their vehicle at its limit and drive at their limit rather than to be out there sightseeing. And try and tone this back, because social media is such a tool these days. I mean, every one of these folks I come across, they're on the San Juan Mountain Trails group or the other new one, or, you know, they're all connected. And we have a really good tool to make use of to really try and get these concepts out there and try and get them to behave a bit better. And I would encourage that. The other thing is, and not to pick on our federal friends who've showed up here, but we are 88% public land. And we don't have near that kind of help, whether it's the USFS or you guys, I apologize, but we don't see much at all. And so to have a 4.5-man department based out of Silverton that's responsible for the county, we're doing our best. But there could be a lot more help out there. And I understand these guys are strapped. It's not like you can pull it out of the, you know, pull a rabbit out of the hat, but it would be awfully nice to have some more assistance in the backcountry. Like for instance, I wouldn't be stuck on a rollover accident for an hour and a half if there was any kind of BLM law enforcement working in the area out there now. As folks that could have been stayed in County Road 2 and slowed people down and put helmets on kids and that kind of thing. So I think the two routes for me are to try, you know, and again, you can't get blood from a stone, but to try and ask for more federal assistance from the USFS and the BLM, and to work on an ad campaign through our good friend Deanne to try and raise awareness about this could potentially go away for you guys if you don't behave appropriately. my thoughts.
Yeah.
I have just a quick question for you. When you guys were making the stops last couple of days, did you give them tickets, like for speeding and stuff like that?
So, yes,
Okay.
so.
I mean, but that-
What you're talking about, or
Sorry?
I just don't talk about direct tickets.
Well, what I'm.
Don't talk
what I'm-
about the people.
I'm just.
I need a lead if you're gonna talk
Well,
about.
Yeah, I'm not
Oh,
gonna talk about anything
I-
specific.
I'm just saying one
Yeah,
way to.
just making sure we're clear, because the judge was in the room, but
But
Yeah,
one way
so-
to get speeding stops is by giving tickets with a hefty fine, and I feel like with social media, that word would get around that there are tickets being given. But I don't know if that's realistic or not.
so there's a few things to consider. First of all, we have a revolving base of visitors. So if you write someone a ticket and they go away next week, you've got someone getting right in line behind them to be just as fast.
Sure.
So it can be more effective to be out there making a presence, stopping 5 people in the time it takes to write a ticket. You know, we stop a lot of people when our license signs on the side of the road and letting them see us that we're out there and we're taking it seriously. So that can be more effective than writing. Of course, when someone's doing 50 miles an hour and passing people in blind curves, we write those tickets and we've got plenty of them, yeah.
But you're right about just a presence that slows a lot of people down, so, yep. And just knowing that they don't know, you know, they've seen you on Monday, but they don't know if you're gonna be back on Thursday, so.
We also have a wide variety of vehicles, which I think is important, and we can be pretty stealth, which can work both ways. If you're not stopping someone, then no one knows you're there, you're not making a presence. Like today, I was on a dirt bike that doesn't at all look like any kind of a patrol vehicle.
I wouldn't
But it
expect
was lit up a lot today and people know that
Oh.
you're there. And then people talk about that, whoa, that dirt bike, I passed that guy earlier, that was a cop. You know, so that gets word of mouth spread too. But we have side by side that's out there. We've got an unmarked silver pickup, 2 unmarked white Tahoes, a Jeep that's out there somewhat. So we've got a wide variety of vehicles, just keeping them guessing out there too.
Can you just park one?
We're about to retire one.
Like your Ray's been doing, is just,
I just got permission today from Laura, who lives out in Middleton, to put one at the end of her driveway, because we're about to retire one.
okay,
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
We've used it at the end of town before, and it was pretty effective there, I think. And I think it could probably be used out there more, and I'm worried about it maybe getting vandalized. But
I mean, and if it's on somebody's private property and she's there a lot, you know, if somebody comes up and tries to vandalize it.
Yep.
You
If
probably
you know
gotta-
her,
you
you're
probably
not
gotta
gonna mess
film
with
it pretty
yeah.
Put a sign on it that says camera running.
Yeah.
No.
But she's also not probably gonna go out and make a physical confrontation, which she doesn't need to, yes.
No, that's not her style.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this being a conversation about dust abatement there, you know, the only way we can really put a dent in that is try and slow folks down, and I think we're doing what we can do with our small department at this time, and I do understand that there are a lot of people complaining right now. We're getting those complaints too. I answered an email this morning. It's just that, you know, there are other things to do in this county as well. We're giving it more effort now than we usually do because of the complaints. But again, I think that that's because, you know, people live there now. That's the only difference compared to other places in the county that have the same kind of behavior going on.
Yeah. In your experience just kind of out there or in general, you know, some of these neighbors out there have requested that we lower the speed limit. I mean, we lowered it from 30 to 20 miles an hour out there. Does lowering the speed limit even more through some of the worst areas actually slow people down, or do people just disregard the speed limit regardless?
I think the speed limit's where it should be. And I think lowering it was a good idea. Pete slipped that in, previous Pete, slipped that in a great way. That was a good piece of politics when he did that to us a few years ago. And I was like, that was slick, Pete. I like that. That worked. And I didn't think it was going to make that much of a difference. And I think it has. I think people are doing 30 now instead of doing 45. When it was 30, people were doing 45.
Yeah.
People are doing 30 now on, you know, if you just sat out there and didn't stop anyone and undercoverly had a radar unit all day long, you're gonna see people doing 27 to 33 all day long. That's what most people are doing.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, okay. We slow people down at 30, we stop them after 30. You know, at 25, you can't stop all those people.
Yeah.
So I think where the speed limit is working. I don't think I would change it. I noticed that there are some people who put up, and I think this was already talked about, so I don't need to rehash, but there were some neighbors out there that hung big banners that said the speed limit's 10 miles per hour, and I get where they're coming from, but if they put 20 miles an hour on those big signs, I'd be all for it, but they can't just change the speed limit because they put a sign up.
And you have to have permission to put a sign up.
Yeah. And the other question is signage, do you see? It, you know, you can overdo signage and you can underdo signage, do you feel? Like, our signage is adequate out there, or do you see any specific spots or specific language that you think would improve?
Thank you for that question, because that's something that I meant to hit on and had overlooked. I think that the typical signage out there is almost adequate and is probably fine, but I think what could be added and what could be potentially effective would be some large signs at the beginnings, you know, stating it's 20 miles per hour on the whole bottom of the valley, you know, it's just things that kind of are larger. I mean, for instance, the big red 4x4, $300 fine, OHV past this point, those work. Those actually work. They're concise, they're big, they're visible. The big billboards that are the size of those two windows and have all the OHV rules on them, they don't work at all. People drive right by them and then tell me they have no idea their kid's supposed to be in a helmet, you know? So I think, concise, large, could be effective in all those key entry points, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like a sign the size of that, it says no OHVs beyond this point. OHVs, helmets required for kids, proof of insurance.
I'm talking more about the speed, I think, for that
Yeah.
setup. Yeah, I think
Okay.
the OHV thing, you know, the first thing we hear is we didn't know. And you know, we're not hiding the information from anyone. They're not bothering to learn, or they do know and they're just saying they don't know, which is more often the case.
Right.
Where the information is there.
In today's
know,
times on
yeah.
social media, there's that information's out there.
Right. I don't think we need to do much more to get more information out there about OHV regulations.
Okay.
It's out there. I just
Okay.
think people
Put a
are
nice
just gonna
big-
go to,
Colorful speeding sign at the beginning,
yeah, right,
kind of hits home.
right. 20 miles per hour, strictly enforced. I mean, that, I
Right.
know when I go into a small mountain town or drive, you know, I'm on a 50-mile-an-hour road and I pull into a smaller town and it says 20 miles an hour strictly enforced, that gets my attention.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to see. It's concise, it's big. And they can't say, oh, I didn't know. I mean, we've got plenty of signs. I wouldn't add a whole bunch more 20-mile-an-hour typical sign. There's enough of those out there, I think, maybe a couple here
But
and there, but
entrances
yeah,
on both sides.
right.
Do we have a speed limit posted on just the back roads, like say the road down to Sports? Is that, I know we have speed limit signs posted from here to Eureka, is there?
They all say suggested 15 miles. What signs you'll find on the Alpine Loop? They all say suggested 15 miles per hour. And I have no fault with that. I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's a good speed limit for, you know, Jeeps are doing less than that. Side by sides can do a little more than that. Motorcycles do a little more than that and sometimes need to.
Yeah.
So I think that's fairly appropriate. There's probably not enough of those, but there aren't any like hard and fast, you know, speed limit. It's suggested
Sure.
15-mile-an-hour signs, yeah,
Okay.
which I think is appropriate. I'd like to see more of them.
All of this is common sense.
Yeah, right.
I did, just county road 2 out to Animas Forks, California, hurricane coming past. I didn't feel people were excessively speeding in general, and people were pretty courteous of, you know, pulling over and letting each other go by in general. I know that there are bad actors out there.
I would agree that it's gotten better. I think over the last 3 years, I've seen a smaller percentage of boneheads and OHVs out there. And I think that's because of these groups. I think that's why I feel that these social media sites are very effective and what we should be tapping into, because I think they're self-policing to a great extent, mostly about driving off trail. You know, they know they're gonna get all those trails shut down if they keep tearing up tundra, so that they really are self-policing about that. They also complain about people making rude passes and, you know, riding their butt with their off-road lights on. And so, you know, they're self-policing to an extent. I think it has gotten better, and that's why I think that would be a really appropriate medium to use for us to get more messages out to them.
Yeah.
I think it's different every day. Cause I went out there and tested it from, clear to Eureka, and I got past 15 times. And it wasn't just a side by side, it was a pickup. One was a
Fifth wheel.
with a camper.
Yep.
And it's different every day, and
Yeah, county
So-
road two, I will say, in general, yeah, I mean, people were not following the speed limit
No.
in general out there.
No.
I was going 20 miles an hour, but. I surprisingly, I didn't get past then, but I've been trying to go out there a little bit.
I got past 15 times.
I will say, I've been out there a little bit, and I really think that the rental companies need to do a little better job. There.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so
I agree
when
with
you
that.
talk about that percentage of people in OHVs being boneheads, well, it has shrunk, it still, I think the rentals are a huge portion of what is acting poorly out there. I mean, you know, you give a 20-year-old the keys to a high performance machine in dangerous fun roads and they're gonna go for it. And yeah, we see too much of that still for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty clear. I was out there, like, it's hard too, but 6 PM, you see a rental vehicle out there, going out towards
Yeah.
Eureka too.
Well,
Is that staff?
The one I just stopped the other day doing 48 on County Road 2 while passing multiple cars in a blind corner and was going so fast he didn't know I was behind him with license sirens on for half a mile. That guy had a rental from Lake City and was asking me, all he wanted to know was the fastest way to get back to Lake City because he had a rental that was overdue. And I said, well, that's your problem. That needs to be your financial burden, not our safety burden.
Yeah.
You know, we get that a lot. At the end of the night, people are ripping back to return their rentals.
I have a question, like car rental companies, isn't they won't rent to you unless you're 25 or older, but
I've brought that up many times in the past, Scott, with the rentals right downtown, you know, it's a rental company, Hertz won't give you a car unless you're 25 years old, we'll hand keys to an 18-year-old. And then they learn how to drive at the middle of Main Street, like, here's the gas, here's the brake.
that's something the county can do as an ordinance or 20, can we do that? 25 or over? I mean, it makes
Can we
sense.
acquire the rental companies?
Yeah. Can we, I mean, are we legally allowed to do that?
Well, don't put me on the spot today. I'll have to look at it, but I think there's probably something you can do.
It's not gonna, it could make a dent, but you have that, it's a rental philosophy with adults, you know, I mean, we get rental Toyota Corollas on Cinnamon Pass. Because it's a rental, they don't care, they're gonna beat it, so. There's also that mentality out there that's not gonna be age dependent, but
Sure.
it might make a dent.
I think you'd have a hard time with rentals coming from other places,
Oh,
so
but you could require it of your rental companies.
maybe,
Or,
Maybe,
because it's specific to one county, you might not be able to do it, maybe.
yeah, I didn't think about that, it'd make it less.
It almost
than
have
than
to
I
be
think.
it almost have to be a statewide type thing, maybe.
I don't know, let me look at.
Very curious.
I have a couple questions. One, can the speed limit be higher than 300? Or is that the?
So I'm really asking for that $300 fine for children without helmets and lack of insurance. For speed, we already have a pretty appropriate mechanism in place with the MTC model traffic code that we use in the county. And it's variable depending on how far of a speed limit you're traveling, and it could put points on your license, and that's the real need to it.
Okay.
So I don't see the need to just make that across the board $300, because then if someone's only doing 10 over and it's $300, it's not as appropriate if someone's doing 20 over.
Sure.
And it wouldn't put points in the license, you know, I think that the mechanism we have for speed's already in place.
Okay. There would be the possibility of having speed reductions at each kind of intersection where Nagy is, where a raster drops down, so drop it for those intersections and then back up to 20 beyond.
I personally think it's more effective to have one solid, well-signed speed limit. Like, I mean, I've always wanted to see that in town. I'd like to drop Main Street to 20 and raise all the side streets to 20 and make it 20 in all of town. But nobody seems to agree with me on that. But I personally think that, you know, when you go into a town that says, you know, 20 miles an hour in all of town, that it's done, it's a done deal, you don't have to worry about it, you don't have to think about it. If you're going up and down, people stop paying attention. And I mean, I'll say, you know, when I became an officer, I had to go learn what all the speed limit signs on the highway were. I had no clue. I had not a clue what any of those speed limit signs said. Just drive the highway like we drive the highway. So I literally went and made a list of where all those speed limit signs are and what they are at what mile post. So I think it's way more effective to have a solid, well advertised, concise speed limit, personally.
So I just got told, that we have 2 solar signs, in the old shop. That we weren't aware of, or maybe you were aware of them, but like, talked about it, we weren't aware of it, so, wondering if we could bring those out, they're digital. Wouldn't hurt.
Do they help?
You know, we used one in town, at the edge of town for years. I don't know, I felt like the maintenance of it was more of a hassle than it actually helped. The most effective thing was putting that patrol car with a dummy in it down there. That was,
Right.
Yeah.
that,
Yeah, these are solar,
yeah.
so not too much.
Right,
but-
ours is solar too, but you still have to pull it in every once in a while and charge the batteries,
There you
like
go,
once
yeah.
every 10 days, it's gotta come in and get the batteries charged.
Right.
And get reset, and I don't know that it made that much of a difference there, and then I would go to the other thing I would worry about out in the county is potential vandalism. I mean, there's a lot of armed people out there that are drinking and things like that that are authoritative and left alone tend to get damaged. I mean, one of our $300 big signs is stolen already. Love to get that back, by the way. That sign out there, the big red one.
Oh,
Yeah,
Did
I
a
don't
new one
know,
get put up?
what's that?
Did a new one get put up?
No,
So
it got
recent.
stolen last year and it's never gone back.
Oh,
Yeah.
110.
Yeah, the one on that side coming in.
we should tell Rusty about that.
So Willie had a great idea too, and I don't know how feasible or easy it would be to do, but Willie said, you know, if you rig up the cop car, you could. You know, potentially rig it up with the radar detector on a little battery and it could spin the siren when somebody goes by without somebody actually being in the car.
Yeah, there is a trigger on
I don't
those.
know if there's.
Those radar trailers do have a trigger that operates at a certain mile per hour that you can
I was
set.
thinking for the
So,
vehicle.
yeah, right, I mean,
Yeah.
that could be not by me, I'm not that techie, but someone could definitely rig that up. So it had potential, somebody, Adams County, where I get a lot of our used consoles and lights and things that we outfit our vehicles with. I have the potential to get a couple of those trailers from them. I already have an old one over there that needs $1,000 in batteries and don't feel like it's that effective, so.
Yeah.
These guys have a couple of those trailers that they're offering to give us, and if we get them, I was gonna try and convert them, because I was gonna ask the town and the ski area to split the cost of, 2 permanent signs on that end and this end, because the skier traffic is killing us in the winter as far as speed up Main Street. So I talked to Culpepper, the new owner of the ski area, about that a little bit, and I haven't spoken with the town yet, but I think they'll be amicable. But if we can get those trailers, we'll have a bunch of parts. I think we could probably fabricate our own up and not have to buy $6,500 worth of signs.
Yeah.
So something I'm working on, but that's in town. I think that leaving trailers out there, first of all, I don't really have the manpower to maintain them. So if you want to put those in county hands, I'm all for it. You know, I mean, maybe those are the entryway to the backcountry message boards that we can let people know they need helmets and to drive like adults.
Would it help if they were just parked like right here in town? Would that be?
I don't see
easier
how
to
it can
help?
hurt.
Yeah,
I mean, they blink. People look at things that blink. They're shiny.
they do. Yeah, to your comment of armed, people, I was talking to somebody earlier today and they were out there and there were people waving their ARs out of the side of the side by side as they
It's
were going.
amazing how many guns are out there now.
Yeah.
We took a gun off a guy drunk on the train today too. I mean,
Right.
it's really amazing.
He's just trying to buy a t-shirt, Scott.
He thought it was a rootin' tootin' train ride.
Jeez.
All I'm gonna add is I gave you guys this little information. I'm working on, something that Hinsdale County's been using for several years, on County Road 30, called Earth Pine.
Yeah.
Okay, and in conjunction with, you know, for the actual dust.
Yeah.
I mean, law enforcement is key. We're present, I love that you're talking about more presence and as much presence as you can, because that gets the word out, but. If we do that with this, that we can use in our own water truck for problem areas. I think that it's worth doing a test strip and trying it.
Yeah.
I can speak to that stuff as a motorcyclist, definitely are more in tune with the traction and the surfaces you're riding on. That stuff that comes out of Lake City, around Lake San Cristobal, has always been really unusual to me, because it's like, I always said, it can't make up its mind whether it's asphalt or a gravel road, but it's weird and it works. I mean, it's really tractiony and it's dust free. I mean, it's
Right.
really a lot less dust than what we have over here.
And it's
And it's heavily traveled,
pretty non-toxic, so.
super traveled.
I think, reading your description of it too, I think that would help us keep some of our base on the road too.
Yeah.
And in a way that mac chloride maybe won't.
It's, from what Don told me at Hinsdale County, it lasts longer than mag.
Yeah.
So that's the key to it. Mag, 60 grand or more, and how long does it last?
Yeah.
With
Not very
the
long.
difference with the climate, right?
And it eats things,
Yeah, it does.
things I like.
Yeah, salt.
So,
And I think, in my opinion, the permanent solution out there is to chip seal the road. At 8 o'clock in the morning, there is a dust cloud that is raising out there that is. It's blowing into town and it's affecting. the
People
air
calling in as
quality.
fires.
Yeah,
Calvary's coming.
and it's an expense that I think would be. $5 million between,
Yeah, that seems cheap.
at least. And
Then
then
you
that's
get
an
this-
expense that this county just can't afford.
And then you get the
And-
wells and the floods and the things that aren't as easy to just run a grader over it to fix.
Yeah.
And
The culverts that you have to rip up and then replace when the beavers flood the road,
yeah, that seems a long way off.
yeah, but it is, Lake City got a grant from CDOT. They're gonna be paving the road by San Cristobal
Wow.
this year. They're chip sealing the road. We missed out on that CDOT grant, and with the multimodal aspect of it, it might have been harder for us to get that as well, but I don't have a discussion with somebody from the federal agency without mentioning that this is a road that is accessing public land, and any help or any opportunities that we can get to help, enact that's, in my mind, the only foolproof solution to the dust is to chip seal that road.
unless when county wins to make $1 million, I don't see that.
I'd hate to see it, but I hear what you're saying. I think giving this a shot makes a lot of sense right now.
Did you mention price, Pete, what that is compared to?
Yeah, it's in the email, yeah.
I'll look at it.
So now that I took us way off course, is the $300 fine for helmets and insurance on OHVs in San Juan County something you all would consider?
Yes,
I like it.
Yeah.
yeah.
It'll
I would
put us
very
at
much
odds with
appreciate it.
CPW again, but yes, we support that.
Yeah, but they always go the way we go in the long run. They didn't want to put helmets on kids until we did.
I'll let him know next time. Mention it.
Tell them we're ahead of the game.
Well, we should be ahead of the game.
Yeah.
We've already seen 2 major accidents. No helmets
On county roads,
on a county road.
I mean, your ordinance. Oh, county roads.
Yep. They're all, yep.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Let me look at that one along with the other ones. Let you know if I see any, roadblocks there, no pun.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
It would give us the ability to make a good dent in it, because it scares the hell out of me. It's like what we used to see downtown with the four-seater OHV with 6 kids in it, and now one of them having helmets. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's,
And with special bench,
Oh.
I've seen a family with a special bench built so they could get even more kids. in.
I have a photo of a baby seat, like a full-on, like one you can carry, black bungee corded onto the back of the quad.
Good lord.
Bungee cord.
It's an awesome
And
photo.
I know you.
And Dad
over
didn't
years
see
have seen-
anything wrong with it. Thought I was way out of line telling him how to
Yeah.
drive his child around.
Can we do an IQ test before?
Yeah, that's not gonna be pretty.
Yeah.
One other thing, I'm completely unrelated that I'd like to put on your radar just for that, that we should, that we'll probably be discussing over the winter, that we support with, just with the amount of accidents that we've had in Pole Creek. I'd like to see if we can apply for some CPW funding to, see if we can color Pole Creek.
Wow.
Make that crossing a lot safer.
Oh, you're gonna piss off a lot of Jeepers. They'd love to say they got through Polk Creek, but I'm with you. It's,
Maybe
It
we can
can,
leave them a workaround where they can
Yeah.
go around it.
I've been on a rescue there with one lady, that wasn't pretty.
no, it's ugly.
Yeah,
Yep.
but.
They're way downstream by the time
The
they
Jeep
get
that
them.
didn't
Yeah.
make it.
But just, yeah, I might be asking you for some. You know, statistics as far as calls and responses that you have there. And
That is our county line, so that'll bring some interesting politics with the other side too.
Sure, and it's a small stretch of Hinsdale there. So we'll have to work with them, and maybe we could get some funding to help maintain Log
Big
Hill too.
culvert. That'd be a big culvert.
It'd probably be two 8-foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot easier to cross on a dirt bike with a culvert.
Or
Not as much
or a
fun,
vehicle
though.
in the spring.
Yeah.
Or for our county road and bridge department.
The whole thing on safety on that
Yeah.
is people don't understand runoff. You don't understand morning, crossing in the morning, what
Yeah.
happens in the afternoon.
Yeah.
They just don't get it.
And then they're go there,
And then
like,
they're never
we can't
gonna
go the whole way around, we gotta go for it, yeah, that's.
No, it's gotta get back,
Yeah,
you know?
Yep.
They don't understand.
just
Yeah,
Diff-
I'm with you on it,
different, but yeah.
happy to support that.
As far as our dust comments that we have going on here, you did mention earlier that you had some, some discussion about the neighbors out there. We're probably gonna field some requests for putting some signage by some of these neighbors on theirs. Of course, we're not gonna let them, change speed limits, but anything in particular that you like or don't like, I've heard some pretty, interesting things about the neighbors as well. People parking heavy equipment in the right of way, throwing projectile objects at people passing, things
Yeah,
like that.
and that's. Kind of why, again, not to be unempathetic to them, but they chose to build. In a backcountry highway.
On a
It's not-
busy,
it's
on a
not-
busy road, on
It's
a
not
busy
where I would
dusty
put my
road.
house, it's kind of the. That old syndrome, you move somewhere because you like it and they make it like where you came from. And again, I have no one in particular in mind with those comments, but, I love the little yellow kid at play signs, like some folks felt like putting those out around town, which is also where we have need an awful lot of attention with people flying around town all day and it's a new person the next hour, let alone the next day. So it's really hard for us to keep up with all these people ripping around our community.
Yeah.
But I love those little green things and there's some out there now that I
Yeah.
think are effective. I think they're good. I also know that guy is out there, well, I'm not sure who it is, but somebody's out there with their own water truck watering the road, which is spectacular in some ways. But then I wonder, where's that water come from? Is all that, I don't know if that's above board or what. I mean, I think it's a great thing he's doing, and if I had a water truck, I would keep the dust down in front of my house too. But,
If it's not above board, the county has water rights that we could allow them to.
You really should not be allowing people to maintain roads, including watering them
Right.
without getting permission from the county. You can run into issues with,
It'd be liability.
liability. All of a sudden they overwater, there's mud issues, there's washout issues, there's things like that. Somebody hits the water and has an accident and then there's liability issues that come up. We have, immunity in our maintenance of roads. He does not have immunity in maintenance of our roads. It's a quagmire.
Yeah.
So
And what
as
else?
much as you.
If he has a CBL, they can operate the county truck.
Now,
I like that.
if somebody really wanted to water the road, then what they should do is come in and apply for some kind of road maintenance permit or something like that.
Yeah.
But to do it on his own is it's not a great idea.
I think he's been kind enough to not only water in front of their properties, he's going all the way out to Eureka. I was told today. So I applaud that, but I do wonder where the water's coming from and what that looks like legally. So.
And we know this isn't Bill McDougal, go ahead.
Oh, we should.
Because
No,
Bill is running the water truck now.
no, that's not what I'm
Blue and
hearing.
white
I'm
one.
hearing it's one of the folks that lives there and there is a water truck out in that new neighborhood essentially.
And then I'll let you use your best discretion on whether you want to.
Then if there's a method with a permit or something, then yeah, we can definitely work.
And they just should know that they're subjecting themselves to some pretty potential liability if they were to cause. Some problem,
Oh, yeah. If they
Yeah.
got a two buddy and somebody went off the road or somebody ran. into
Yeah,
them.
again, we have immunity, they don't.
Yeah.
So, a little tricky.
Okay.
I think the guy means well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I applaud him, but yeah, it seems like a lot of water. I wonder where it's coming from.
You probably don't have to wonder too much.
He talked to Louis about
Yeah.
it, and he's drafted from the river, and actually, Louis had told him to log all the water he used so we could, when we bust.
So he's sort of working on behalf of the county under this.
So we make him a
supervision of our-
subcontractor.
Something like that. Well, we'll leave it alone.
We could make that one.
Let's try to help.
The last question that I really had for you was, how do you feel about speed dips or speed bumps out there as far as control?
I love speed dips. I think speed bumps as a motorcyclist or speed jumps.
Yeah.
And speed dips are pretty much more effective, and I think they need to be signed.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm speaking for Louis, but I would think that they're easier to maintain than the speed bumps as well.
I agree,
Maybe,
I would just hop right into it, if there's a bump.
yeah. I know you obviously know more about that than I, but I would be very happy to see speed dips out there. Yeah.
Pete, from your perspective as an equipment operator, driving. through
They're doable, like you said, for liability, you've got to sign them,
Yeah.
you know, because you make them prevalent enough, they can do some real damage.
Yeah.
And for side by sides and motorcycles, you're not gonna slow anyone down, you're just adding that new fun, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, but with the signage and, your first time crossing it, you might not know enough. You'd slow down hopefully out of an abundance of caution so that you don't.
Yeah.
Unless you're bungee cording your kid to the back.
That's what I'm saying, I think, I would vote for speed dips over bumps.
Okay.
Any
Yep.
day, yeah, because they're not gonna slow down the HVs or motorcycles.
I think they're a lot easier
Are you talking
to
like
install with a grader.
a whole bunch of speed dips in a row, so it's fun around your dirt bike?
Those
Yeah.
are whoops.
Yeah.
That's a competition then at that point. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, I hope I added something besides another task to vote on another ordinance in this
No, I
conversation.
think it's a really good idea, Bruce.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I think it's important to get helmets on kids out there, and if our neighbors aren't
People don't
helping
want
us,
to
we gotta
protect
hammer it.
their own kids, then we'll do
Yeah.
Before you leave, I really like the idea of the entrance of large signs that are orange or something that pops. And they read those for the speed limit, because
Yeah.
I think they hit it more. Than a little
Strictly
20 mile an hour.
enforced.
I mean, we all know it in your Ray.
Yeah.
You see it on either end, and we come to Ridgeway, you come to your Ray, and you know it's for real.
Mhm. Especially in Ridgeway.
I've got the
Yeah.
speeding tickets to prove it.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Or Olathe.
Yeah,
oh, yeah, like,
that's a big slowdown.
Yeah.
There.
but you know, that's the thing is. If you do that and you gain the reputation for it, you see a little presence. It becomes to have teeth.
I've slowed down much more going through Uray. Just,
Yeah,
yeah, you just don't have.
nobody wants to take it.
No,
Yeah, they have a highway going through the middle of their town. That's a tough situation.
yeah, major highway going through their town.
One note on signs, this may be a DOT issue, but the no turn at the whistle stop gas station. I feel like we need to put another no turn on the do not enter sign.
So I've invited the CDOT traffic engineer out to take a look at the 12 issues I've laid out as potential tragic death waiting to happen there at all times. And he said, yep, within 20 minutes, he saw all 12 things that were on my list and said, yep, this is a big problem. We're gonna do speed rails here. We're gonna put in bigger stop signs. We're gonna add another no entry. None of it's ever been done. So I've been trying to fight that battle, but they need someone to die there for something to change.
CDOT won't
the
do
sad truth of
anything.
CDOT.
Because it's based on fatality.
Yeah.
It's not near misses.
We'll have a meeting with them August 1st.
Yep,
Where
should
we'll have
bring
an
it up.
opportunity to voice these concerns again.
And
August 1st, they're gonna be in this meeting?
you should be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a semi turn there.
What time is that?
Oh, it's insane that we're doing that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And it's,
I can make that.
what bridge?
They're supposed to replace the bridge.
It's good.
That bridge?
This one,
Oh, yeah, well, that's been. I'm not even touching that.
Well, was one of the deals.
His first, is that a night meeting or a day meeting?
3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Excellent. Might be out of court by then.
That's gonna be here, right?
So that's August 1st.
Will that be?
Yeah.
Yes. That's here. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the town gonna have representation there as well? For that meeting, or is that specifically set up for the county? Okay, all right.
We could invite somebody from the town.
Well, thanks for moving it to 3 though.
They rate it.
Just because it was originally one.
That I would not have been able to make.
So she wants to, she's welcome. All right, any other comments on our dust abatement discussion?
At least something's happening, as far as the water truck and things like that. I mean, it's a step in the right direction for sure.
yeah, and the complaints I'm getting, it's never fast enough. I've explained that there is no magic wand here, doesn't happen, but we are working on stuff on all facets. So,
In parallel discussion here, our county road bridge department did reinstate those barriers on
Yeah,
the lower river
Saw that
road,
today.
on the north side of the road. Yeah, so that should
That's good.
hopefully at least, give the pedestrians and the folks who wanna cruise a little slower on the lower river road a reprieve from people speeding by.
So that's completely across the road then?
Yeah, usually
there's a bicycle get
boulders.
through.
Yeah, usually they're boulders, and unfortunately, the one thing you can't really open it up to bicycles and close it to motorcycles, even though it's signed.
Yeah.
Motorcycles aren't allowed to go through, motorcycles still can go through.
That's,
But it's probably restricts 90% of the traffic going through that road.
But it does become a challenge for some rowdy OHVers to try and get up and over around it. Which happens every year.
and we have signage on both ends. I know we had dead end sign on
Yeah.
the.
They've been up
restaurant.
the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we have, the discussion was to build or put a gate in there as well. That we can open and close seasonally, that law
Yeah.
we
enforcement.
don't have.
that you guys have a
Rescue
key to,
folks have a key so
Yeah.
that we can,
I think it's a great idea.
I think that'll happen by next summer.
I like it.
I'm sure somebody will try and rip that gate apart, but.
Oh, yeah.
And keys would be available for fire and.
It's gotta be combos, not keys.
Yeah.
Enough keys.
Combos. We won't say what they are, but they're pretty usually. Reasonably easy.
Yeah.
Easy to set for law enforcement.
Are you saying we don't require helmets under 18 now, or you just want to raise the fine?
No, we already do require them. I just would like, so we have a $75 fine right now, which people don't care about at all. And I would like to see it go to 300 so that we can really hammer it and get people talking that they're serious about it up there, because they're not serious about it in Lake City at all.
And the origins of your fine is the model traffic code or the resolution authorizing off-road vehicles on county land? You know,
That's a question for you.
I'm looking for it.
I would ask you that question. I don't know.
We'll talk tomorrow then.
Okay. I think that 300 is the appropriate, get your attention but not ruin your vacation price point is where my head is with that figure. I think it's been really effective downtown. And I think it'll get attention up there without, again, ruining someone's whole vacation with $1,000 fine or something.
No matter who you are, 300 will get your attention.
Yeah.
You can require child restraint systems. Regular child, do you know that, or do we have that somewhere, do you know?
I thought we had that where it's, well, if you got a baby, you gotta have a baby and a car seat.
Yeah, so that hasn't been as much of a problem. If there's a kid in the car, they're in a seatbelt typically. Where it becomes a problem is, and we already have an ordinance for it, is a vehicle that's designed to hold 4 people will hold 5 or 6 all the time.
Yep.
And so we charge them for interfering occupant of a vehicle, and so that's fine staying at 75 in my mind. But I think that the helmet is the thing that is super dangerous and is really being overlooked right now.
Okay, so we'll talk and I think we should be able to do something.
And the reason I threw insurance into that as well is because I think that's also a pretty serious safety issue, and folks shouldn't be out there, endangering other people's property or families without being insured. But the mechanism we have now requires a mandatory summons. These people are from Arkansas. So I'd rather be able to give them a $300 ticket that gets their attention than to force them to come back to a mandatory summons and have, 6 points and a $600 fine. So that's actually easier than MTC in my mind, but effective up there as far as those are the two things we really want happening up there from my perspective. Are we want them insured and we want their kids' heads protected.
Okay, we'll look into it.
Thank you.
All right.
Anything else for me, gentlemen?
I think we're doing all right.
Thank you so much for your time. I know
Yeah,
it's obviously in July.
No, it's been too long, so I appreciate
right,
catching up.
right.
All right, we're gonna move on to our next resolution 2024-04, resolution repealing the county improvement and development impact fee for fire protection, rescue and emergency services as enacted in resolution number 2022-11.
That was a mouthful. Yes, an attorney drafted that. Give me just a second. So this came about because as you guys probably know, the Durango Fire District has a impact fee that applies to property within the district, mainly Cascade. And that was done by a previous statute. And that actually had to be enacted by us. And they had to ask us to enact that, and San Juan County did that. The legislature has now changed that to not allow counties to do that on behalf of other entities or districts. But now that the fire district itself has to do it and has the power to do it. So previously we had an IGA between the district and San Juan County, and that IGA dealt with how we were going to collect the fees and all that stuff, and also allowed them it basically set forth the fee schedule and everything. With this new legislation starting August 7th of this year, The old system is defunct, it's not enforceable. So they are asking us to, basically, you know, cooperate with them going forward with letting them know when building permits are filed. And then also cooperate with them by telling them when permits are issued. And actually by statute now, we have to tell them when we issue a building permit. But they're asking for some cooperation and some consideration by giving them a heads up when a application is submitted, so the applicant isn't surprised that all of a sudden the district is knocking on their door asking for an impact fee. So it all makes sense. I talked to Willie and he doesn't think it's a problem at all to let the district know when we get an application for a building permit, and then again, let them know when the permit is issued. And by the way, Willie, the way the legislators drafted this thing, you can't require them to pay the impact fee before you issue the permit for some unknown reason. Statute actually says that you have to wait until the permit is issued. But you could put some language in there that says this permit is, I think, contingent on satisfying it or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I would think put in one of the conditions of approval for anything on the south end of the county, something to the effect that, you know, one of the conditions are that you pay the impact fee to the fire district upon issuance of the building permit.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. So the only thing you're doing today, originally, Floyd Smith, the district's attorney, was thinking that you wanted to update the IGA to put these requirements in that we assist them and notifying them and things like that. And after talking about and after talking to La Plata County's attorneys and such, he and I talked and we just said, you know what? We'll cooperate with you. We don't need an IGA. We don't need another IGA to keep track of. And he agreed. So this resolution is just nullifying the IGA, terminating the IGA as of August 7th, 2024. In addition, this resolution is terminating our impact fee or repealing our impact fee resolution as of the same date, August 7th, 2024. Is that clear as mud?
Yeah,
Yeah.
good, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would ask you, or I would recommend to you guys that you pass this resolution by vote.
Thank you for making that clear. It's not taking and filtering all the mud out so that we could see through it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's funny because Floyd Smith, Bud Smith, sent us this, Willie and I he sent us this stuff, and it really looked like all they were doing was raising their impact fee. And then upon closer inspection, it's completely different. So it was a little convoluted, and I'm not sure why the legislature does anything, but I'm specifically not sure why they did this. Just created some work for us here, but whatever.
Yeah, it seems strange that you wouldn't wanna, that you release the authority of the county to do something when, you know, that just adds to further bureaucracy up further to me, it seems like, on their part, so.
Well, and I think I'm speculating, and I'm not talking about anything specific or any county specifically, but I would probably say across the state, there's probably maybe some animosity between fire districts and counties, and if a fire district had to ask a county to impose an impact fee and the county said no. So I think they probably had a strong lobbying effort to say, just let us do it ourselves so we don't have to ask permission of the county. This is the nice county. This is the cooperative county. This is the county that I think for the most part that people enjoy working with. But it's not to say there aren't a bunch out there that are a little bit more difficult to deal with.
We won't talk about those counties.
So are we ready for a motion then?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2024-04.
And I'll second
All in favor?
it.
Yeah, I can point some of those counties out on CCI for sure.
Yeah. And it also broadened the ability of other entities to put impact fees in, by the way. There is some ability for other emergency services organizations to put them in.
Scott, just a second here, sign that and move on to our next appointment. Yeah. Sweet. All right, moving on to our next appointment, resolution 2024-05, a resolution approving the acceptance of donated real properties from Sunnyside Williamsport. So welcome, Becky. Thank you so much for your hard work and your diligence on this. I know it's been a long road and you're probably.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Dennis was great to work with and help push the ball over the finish line for sure.
Yeah.
So we have listed on the agenda possible executive sessions. There are some legal discussions that can occur regarding just some ancillary issues related to the potential transfer. And so I think I'm going to ask maybe to address those first. And I would ask for someone to take a motion to possibly go into executive session for the purpose of I'm going to say it, possible acquisition of real property and formal action related thereto following consistent with CRS 24-6-4024 small a and small e. Under that one, there's a recording requirement. But I think CRS 24-6-4024B for the purpose of receiving legal advice from counsel overrides that one. So I would ask for that motion, and it would be my opinion under that motion to receive legal advice that no minutes or recordings would be kept due to the fact that the conversation would be privileged communication between attorney and client.
I'll make that motion as long as it was.
Sorry, I had to.
It's better that way.
Yeah, I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
Yep.
All right. Sorry for some of our folks on Zoom. We are going to have to
We're going into executive
session. Now it looks like Deanne, if you could, there we go. All right. Good deal. Thank you guys very much. We'll try to do as quick as we can. No worries. All right.
Are we off recording?
I'm gonna get it, reset it. Pete knows the drill, and so does Willie.
So
You handed it to Willie, which is prudent.
I don't want your fingerprints.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll just give you a legal lay of the land, and then Anthony's gonna have more of a substantive discussion with you guys regarding the transaction and things like that. I know Rebecca and I talked with you guys last time about some of the